Night one of WrestleMania is in the books, and what a night it was. From an absolute classic between Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair, the return of Cody Rhodes, and Stone Cold Steve Austin having his first match in nearly 20 years. I can't wait to talk about this. Guys, let's get it all started right now.
This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my idol. You're going to acknowledge me.
All right, everybody, welcome to the WWE Podcast. Thank you for joining me here, and we're going to get into WrestleMania Night 1 and look a little bit ahead to Night 2. There's a full preview and prediction show, by the way, that I did with Grace, and we put that up a couple of days ago, so you can hear our full Night 2 preview, but we're mainly going to be focusing on Night 1 here. I did a very quick, high-level 7-minute overview of my thoughts last night, half asleep, because I wanted to get something out there. But today we're going to dive a lot more in depth on Night 1 and my thoughts on it, as well as, again, previewing a little bit of Night 2. And boy, is there a lot to discuss with Stone Cold Steve Austin, I think, going to be the forefront of my conversation here in just a minute. With after 19 years having an official match in WWE and what that could mean moving forward. And something that Stone Cold said during his promo, or during the KO segment in his promo, that no one's talking about. And I'm going to talk about that in just a minute as well. But guys, once again, welcome to the WWE Podcast. Thank you so much for being here. There are so many different wrestling podcasts out there, especially this weekend, with just every single show that has wrestling on it is covering WrestleMania, as they should. And you're electing to stay with us here for coverage, and we're going to be going wall to wall with more coverage and a lot more live video, which I did on TikTok last night. Very short, but I did it, and of course on YouTube. And I'm going to be advancing a little bit more in video, especially for those patrons who are supporting the show. I'm going to be on there. Though, by the way, guys, still available for you to get on Patreon for $1. You can get in the door and join us on Discord and everything else. You won't get any video, but you can at least get our ad-free shows, as well as on our WrestleMania, or rather our Apple Podcast feed. 99 cents sale still going on, 99 cents for a month, and our website, Go VIP, for all of our content, ad-free, as well as videos. So with that said, everybody, let's dive into Night 1. And I'm leading off with the main event, and that was the KO show that we knew was going to turn into a brawl, but we weren't sure it was going to be a match, and it did end up being an official match, as Stone Cold Steve Austin came out with his knee braces. He came out with his shirt on. Many people have asked, well, why does he have a shirt on? He never wrestled with his shirt. Well, he alluded to in the previous week, the last week or two, that he did not have enough time, as much time as he would have liked, to prepare for this matchup with Kevin Owens, this confrontation as it was once framed. And that's the only thing that he wishes he had more time, which I would imagine he doesn't want to take off his shirt and have it not look like he did 20 years ago, and you could tell through the shirt that he still had a little bit of a gut compared to, of course, his prime years. But that's probably why he kept his shirt on, no doubt about it. And I don't blame him. I wouldn't want to look like, not look the part, especially after 20 years. And I get it. So now the one thing before we get into the actual matchup that I want to address is something Stone Cold said during the KO show. Let's talk about this. You know what? Instead of talking about it, why don't I just play it for you? And without me telling you what I'm going to be talking about specifically with what Stone Cold said, why don't you see if you can pick it out first? So take a listen to this, and we'll play a little game. Can you identify what we're going to talk about and what's very interesting to me? Here we go.
I had my first match right here in Dallas, Texas. I could have my last match right here in Dallas, Texas. If you want Stone Cold Steve Austin to compete in a match tonight against his second, give me a hell yeah.
All right. Well, did you pick it out? Did you identify it? I think you did. If you've been listening to the show, you know where I'm going with this. And there's one key word in there. Could. Stone Cold said, this could be where I have my last match. Could. Now, was he referring to if I decide in this moment to have this match, this could be my last match right now? Yeah, but very interesting choice of words. No one's talking about that. But see, we're here on the WWE podcast. We are smarter than everybody else. I say that very facetiously and kind of sarcastic a bit. But for real, I mean, that to me was very important because it leaves the door open. He's leaving the door open. I believe he used this. This is further evidence that he used last night as a test for his body and his mind to see how everything turned out and to see if it's indeed worth pursuing a further match or two and then calling it a complete career against Roman Reigns, against Brock Lesnar. Obviously, those are the two top choices. You could do others as well, but to me, Brock Lesnar and Stone Cold at WrestleMania 39 is, we're of course stretching right now, but it's possible. And I really believe it. It's just, he would have said that it's, this is where I had my first match and it's appropriate. This is where I will have my last match, not could. So I know I'm harping on this, but it's very, very important when you listen to the phrasing there. So nonetheless, besides moving forward, let's look at what happened. So Stone Cold comes out after KO just continued to run him down, and boy, Kevin Owens got some great heat, and he knows how to really turn it on. And even a guy that's beloved like KO was able to really get some genuine heat. And Stone Cold finally comes out after Kevin Owens was running his mouth, and we got a Kevin Owens and Stone Cold sitting there, and Kevin Owens says he lied, he tricked him, he was actually going to challenge him to a match. And Austin obviously accepted, as anybody would expect. And just in that moment, when Austin and Kevin Owens were pacing each other around the ring before that bell rang, the significance of that moment really sank in. I mean, when you think about the significance of this, it can't be overstated. Like Stone Cold Steve Austin, nearly 20 years later, we get another match from him. And hearing that bell ring and seeing Stone Cold just staring across the ring at KO was a hell of a moment. They talk about moments all the time, and I'm tired of hearing about moments. WrestleMania has really become kind of a self-fulfilling, self-obsessive prophecy where everyone in WWE, all the performers are always talking about WrestleMania moments, as if it's like the fourth wall. Like, stop talking about it. Just make it a great card and have great stories culminate there. It's always like they're very self-aware of how big this pay-per-view is. And that I don't like that, because it's so, I don't know how to describe it other than just, it's a very just self-aware, constant reminder. Everybody knows how big it is, but we're going to talk about how big it is all the time. Anyway, I'm going to get off on a tangent. But this was, guys, hearing that bell ring and seeing Stone Cold there and realizing, we are in a match. Like, this is a match. And it wasn't an Eric Rowan Rock match that was just a complete fallacy, just an insult to a match. And seeing this was just, it gave me chills. And hearing Stone Cold's music come out and seeing him come out on set, that gave me chills. I can't imagine what it was like in person. Michael Ritter, who does our SmackDown review with John, was there in person, and he had said how, he had got chills the entire time. And I couldn't imagine being there, much less, watching it at home was, I'm watching it back. I've watched it back like 10 times now, and it still is absolutely amazing to see. And I've heard some criticism already about Stone Cold. Heard some. Oh, he doesn't look like himself. Why isn't he taking off his shirt? I already addressed the shirt thing. Secondly, is he a step slower? Yeah. He doesn't have that same quickness that he did at 38 as he does at 58, okay? Duh. And he hasn't had a match in 20 years, okay? He hasn't had a match in 20 years. What do you think you'd be like? Now, it was a respectable effort by Stone Cold. In fact, I would argue that it was as good as it could have been for him at that age, 20 years removed from an actual match. It was as good as it could have been. Now, again, was it a little obvious that he was slower in his punches and everything else? Yes. It was distracting. Passingly, it was. But he took a bump on the concrete. When Stone Cold took a back body drop or a suplex, whatever it was, I think it was a suplex from KO on the concrete, I was thinking, first of all, I held my breath. I'm like, Steve, what are you doing, man? I mean, I know the message that he was trying to send, because they're all about, people love sending messages in WWE. I mean, that has to be part of your resume, is that, I'm not going to half-ass this. This is going to be something that if I'm going to do, I'm going to show you guys I'm willing to take a bump. And he did. And message received. I got it. And it was amazing. And seeing the effort that he put in, he did not just dish out the punishment. I mean, it was about 70-30 in terms of punishment dished out by Austin, and KO got his shots in though. And I got to give it to Steve, man. He did take some flat back bumps. He took that shot on the concrete. Kevin Owens hit a stunner on him. But at the end of the day, KO ends up eating a stunner with the 1-2-3, eating another stunner. I would have liked the third, but I'll accept two. And then, which was one of the best things ever, Byron Saxton gets stunned as well. Byron Saxton, who is just such a distraction on commentary. I have not gotten used to Byron at all with his phrases and his just tropes and his just corporate language that he pushes all the time and all these things, right? I'm not a Byron Saxton fan at all, so seeing him get stunned was a lot of fun, and it was a great time, and the crowd was with him 1,000% from start to finish. It was awesome. There's no other way to phrase it other than it was nostalgia wrapped with a hell of an effort, wrapped with some hope for the future that perhaps we could see Stone Cold Steve Austin in another match. That of course will be determined in the future. That'll be something down the line that we'll figure out and hear rumors about. And it's also possible that, hey, maybe he's actually on Raw. Maybe he's here at WrestleMania Night 2. I don't know for what reason. I doubt it. But if anything, maybe he's there in Dallas for Monday Night Raw and he ends up hitting somebody else with a stunner. Maybe Kevin Owens one last time and leaves. I hope so. I hope Austin's there at least for Raw, and then he goes away for a while, and we hear rumors of next year's WrestleMania where he could face so and so. That's hopefully what happens here. I don't foresee anything major happening with Austin at WrestleMania Night 2 tonight. But again, awesome effort, as good as it could have been for Stone Cold, and just chills. I mean, absolute chills. And I know people had talked about, well, hey, what about the current roster? They don't get a spot. Why don't they get the main event? This is the biggest draw in the history of pro wrestling, returning to wrestling. Everyone and everything takes a back seat. Everyone and everything. I know that it's about building new stars, but first of all, Kevin Owens is still in the prime of his career. This helps elevate Kevin in a lot of ways, even though he took the loss. That doesn't matter. He can come back and cut a promo and still talk trash, and you'll want to see him get beat up again. I mean, Kevin Owens is not going to be hurt by this loss at all. There's no such thing as being demoted by being in a main event of WrestleMania with Stone Cold Steve Austin. It's not like, even if this was a squash, which it wasn't, I still would argue that it doesn't hurt KO, but this was just, it helps KO in every sense of the word. And again, just awesome stuff, guys. All right. Well, I mean, I could go on and on about this, but all right, let's talk about another match here. Let's talk about Ronda Rousey and Charlotte. I have to say, first of all, and first and foremost, the match was better than I expected. Ronda Rousey impressed me from just a number of moves standpoint. She was able to get out of maneuvers. She added some actual wrestling moves to her repertoire. She has the ankle lock that she seemingly has mastered from Kurt Angle, the armbar, all that stuff. And seeing her lose that match to Charlotte with a boot to the face was surprising. Surprising in a way that I'm not angry about, okay? I am elated that Ronda Rousey did not win that match. I'm shocked, but I'm elated. So this was, again, honestly a good match. Was it as good as Bianca and Becky? Hell no. But given that a lot of fans, including myself, did not look at this match and say, whoa, the match of the night written all over this, nobody did. Nobody that I've heard or listened to or even encountered on social media has said that. And I think they did a very good job of overachieving people's bar they set low, but also telling a decent story and not having the crowd completely turn on this match. The crowd didn't actually crap all over this, and I thought they would. Now, that said, I think that we still got a lot of indifference from the crowd. At least that's how it came off of. It came off very just kind of indifferent and kind of mixed at times, I have to say. So, there was that. And overall, again, this was a fine match in which both women put in hard work, I have to say. I'm seeing a lot of websites that giving it like a B-, C+. A lot of websites do that. And, I'd agree with that assessment. I think that's a fair assessment. I would say that it's in the C+, B- range. And this was just a match that I think is leading to other matches. A lot of kickouts of finishes, by the way. A lot of submission holds in which you're not sure if someone's going to tap. Ronda did get Charlotte to tap, but the referee got knocked out. The referee gets up, boot to the face, bam, gone. Again, not a bad match. It was a fine match. And that's that. I mean, Charlotte retains. Many people thought she was going away after WrestleMania. Nope. She's here to stay. She is here to stay. And I think Becky Lynch eventually will face Ronda one-on-one, maybe at SummerSlam. That's my thought anyway. So good stuff from Ronda and Charlotte, even though I could care less about Ronda Rousey. Yep, that's my personal opinion. Let's see here. Okay. Seth Rollins, mystery opponent. The worst kept secret in all of pro wrestling for the last month ended up being Cody Rhodes. Crowd loved it. And Jimmy Smith apparently has been living, under a boulder, not just a rock, but like some kind of, some kind of iceberg he's been living under, because his comment that after he was introduced, after Cody Rhodes was revealed to be Seth's mystery opponent, Jimmy Smith said, "And the people here in AT&T Stadium can't believe it." Jimmy, are you, I have to believe you're trolling, because people were chanting Cody half the night. People have been chanting Cody the last few weeks from every city they went when Seth Rollins came out. How exactly is this unexpected? These are the narrative lies that they try to push, that the people are shocked and they did a good job by fooling everybody, and the announcers telling us so makes it so? No. I mean, anybody with 2 ears and a pair of eyes were like, yeah, no, it's duh. Like, of course it's Cody. And it couldn't have been anybody else, first of all. I mean, imagine if they brought out Shane. I've said that before. Grace brought it up, and I just imagine if it was Shane. I would have actually loved to hear that, hear him come out and see what the crowd does. The pure evil intentions of hearing what that reaction would be like. And then obviously seeing Cody come out after. But this couldn't have been anybody else other than Cody. The crowd loved it. Cody was super over. And I think that this match, even though Seth Rollins lost, this is probably Seth Rollins' best loss to date at WrestleMania, at least in the last few years. I mean, Seth has some big matchups that he's lost at WrestleMania. Big ones. Kevin Owens, for one. I mean, he lost to Edge. It wasn't WrestleMania, but he lost the blow-off to Edge recently. And Seth Rollins has not had a good outcome lately when it comes to big matches on the big stage. Seth does not have a good record at WrestleMania anyway. I'd love to know what the actual numbers are. But the reason I say it's his best loss, even though, at this point I think the losses are actually starting to hurt Rollins, this matchup may have been Seth Rollins' best matchup in a few years. And it's not because Seth Rollins has not put in the effort, but his opponents sometimes have been limiting him for what he can do. And I think Cody Rhodes and him put on a clinic. They put on a wrestling clinic for 15, 20 minutes and absolutely knocked it out of the park. Absolutely knocked it out of the park. I I know that there were some at some points. I mean, I'm seeing a review right now where somebody said that the match got a bit sloppy, especially down the stretch. I mean, I think that a lot of it had to do probably with exhaustion, the moment, the adrenaline. When your body is that exhausted from taking a beating for 20 minutes, I mean, you're bound to have a little bit of lack of control of your muscles and that kind of thing. But that didn't, to me, hurt the match. It did not. Now, having Cody Rhodes hit Crossroads like 3 times, the way he did it was a little bit, I get that, right? Like, it's a little weak the way that the Crossroads looked, because it was clear that his arm was protecting Seth's head, and he did it in a way that wasn't the best looking, but the narrative of it, that's my favorite word lately, narrative. But that to me was the story. There you go. The story they were trying to tell is that Cody is putting Seth down for good. It's insurance, as Corey Graves said. And Corey Graves, by the way, had some funny commentary last night when he said that Stone Cold was like Popeye, right? Like when he had an analogy of the beer was to Stone Cold as spinach was to Popeye, something along those lines, and it made me laugh. I mean, I was laughing at that. So props to Corey Graves on that. But back to Cody and Seth. This was good. I mean, there was a line where Rhodes was being told, welcome back to the big leagues and all that. And I'm very fearful, though, even though Cody's back and the fans love it and he'll be an immediate babyface, that they'll WWE-ize him again, where it'll be very clear that corporate has their thumb on him, that they're controlling him, that it doesn't feel like Cody Rhodes we saw in AEW. It doesn't feel like that unchained Cody Rhodes we saw. And it's possible. It's possible we do, and I'm sure they will, because nobody's bigger than WWE. And that said, I do I think that this match is going to continue? Possibly. And in fact, I think it's likely that Cody and Seth have another match or two with the next 2 premium live events or PLEs or PLUs. Yeah, that's a real catchy acronym, huh? A PLU. But that is what I think. I think that these two, given how good that they performed last night, the chemistry that they have on air, the crowd reaction that ensued, I believe that it's probably going to be another couple of matches with these two. Seth needs a win here, though. I mean, Seth actually could. They won't do it, but he needs a big victory, a big blow-off victory, not just like these kind of intermediate. I lose match 1, but I storm back and win match 2, and then I lose the blow-off in match 3. I mean, that's kind of been Seth's motto for a while. So I expect this to continue for those that are interested, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I also believe that Cody could eventually face Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship, assuming he's on SmackDown. But that's, they didn't state where he is yet. I mean, he faced Seth, so you would think he's on Raw, but eventually I think he could face Roman Reigns. So, spoiler alert, I don't see any way he loses the belt tonight. Okay, let's go into what do I want to talk about? Gable Steveson. Gable Steveson. I'm glad, for when I heard Stephanie McMahon's music, it always makes me want to vomit. I mean, just immediately. Without any provocation, I just hear her music and I want to, put my face in boiling water. And seeing her come out, and I know she's the chief brand operating officer, but can she take a break from being the philanthropist, and just be Stephanie McMahon? Everything about her is just insufferable. Not the character, because the character Stephanie McMahon is one of the best heel characters of all time, and she's a really good promo. But the actual person who pushes the company as the brand officer, that actual person is the one that's insufferable on social media and just undermines her own product on a daily basis. That's the Stephanie I can't stand. But she did introduce Gable Steveson very nicely. All those insults aside, I just threw her away. She did do a nice job of introducing Gable Steveson. And the fact that Stephanie was the one to come out does tell you that he's going to be a big deal. And they went through his accolades, NCAA champion, all these things, 2-time NCAA. Like, he's got a nice look. I think there's a lot there, and I think the comment made, I think by Corey, saying this is not going to be the last time we see him at a WrestleMania is very true. So we'll see what his role is. Maybe it is on Raw. Maybe he starts a program with somebody. But we heard about Gable Steveson like 6 months ago when he went into oblivion. Now he's back, and I think he's back for at least the foreseeable future, continuing to remind us that he's there. Maybe showing us his training in the Performance Center or something like that. But not much more to say about that. Now let's get to arguably the other match of the night contender beyond Cody and Seth, which you can make a stronger match of the night candidate for that really lived up to it. Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair. Man, really good here. Really good. I mean, to the point that I normally don't go back and watch full matches, just not because I don't want to. I just normally don't have the time, but I may make the time here. This was really good. Really good. I would argue that there's a case to be made that it's bigger and better than Sasha and Bianca were last year, and they blew the roof off the place. Now, yes, there was a botch. Becky's foot kicked Bianca right in the face, right in her eye, as she did like a sunset flip or a kind of a, I don't know what you call it. She did like some kind of flip off the rope, and her foot ended up connecting with Bianca's eye. And I thought she was either knocked out or orbital bone was cracked, something bad, right? Bianca powered through, but you could tell towards the end of her match, especially when she won, that her eye was swollen and it was about to swell shut. And I just hope everything's okay, because that looked brutal. And there's no faking that. So that looked really, really rough. But outside of that, which didn't hurt the match, actually, and I think it actually helped, despite the fact that Bianca was legitimately, quote unquote, injured. I think it did help the match. Not that it was intentional. But this was really good. The 450 splash by Bianca was perfect. The KOD was brutal. I mean, the KOD that she did was so intense. Anybody else notice she ramped up the intensity of that KOD? That was just awesome. Them starting out with trying to hit finishers on one another. The manhandle slam at the beginning of the matchup actually had me wondering. It was as close to a 3 count as you could get. Repeating SummerSlam for these two, where Becky put Bianca down in like 12 seconds, whatever it was. And let's see what other spots are there. I'm looking through the bullet list of stuff. I want to make sure I don't forget. Oh, the ring steps. That was a nice shot there. I think Becky threw Bianca into them, and the crowd lost their minds here. And it was absolutely one of those match of the night, maybe match of the entire pay-per-view contenders. This is just this is great, and they have a true star in Belair. I think she lost a lot of momentum going into the last few months, especially if you remember, with Belair being able to take the easy path to get to the chamber. She was the last one out. She had the easiest path as a babyface to get to this matchup. I think all of those problems and potential heel turns that were organically starting to take root have been erased, because the fans looked at this match and were like, holy crap, we forgot how good this girl is. She is, I think, the best pure athlete WWE has right now. I know Ronda Rousey. No, not Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey's has her own style that she's morphed and kind of melded into a pro wrestling style. Plus, Bianca has the whole package. She can cut a damn good promo. She's got a great presence. She somehow takes the most obnoxious phrase ever of calling herself the EST of everything and making it endearing. It's really and truly amazing. Now, do I think she'll eventually be a really good heel? Yes. Do I think that time is sometime in 2022? Probably later in the year, after she drops her belt, maybe. But for now, she's, I think, established and reestablished herself, rebirthed herself as a babyface. I think that all of the possible issues that were coming of her with the kind of the slowing of momentum, the fans' somewhat disinterest in her character compared to last year, were all erased in a matchup that her and Becky Lynch had last night. Really good stuff, guys. Really good. I mean, I can't say enough about this match. All right, let's see here. Mysterios versus The Miz and Logan Paul. Now, we saw The Miz and Logan Paul win. I was wrong on that. I was wrong at least 2 or 3 times throughout the night. And sorry, Grace. My apologies. I told you, don't listen to me. I can sell you a bill of goods. Don't buy it. Stick by your guns. Anybody that comes on a preview and prediction show with me and I make the case why your pick isn't good and mine is, and you end up switching your pick, don't do it. Don't do it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it because I always end up being wrong. Just ask Ashley. Ashley Mann, who has come on the show, and I've convinced her to change her pick, and 99% of the time I end up being wrong and she wishes she stuck with her damn pick. And now Grace is the latest victim. So, nobody listen to me. I'm a car salesman. All right. But the Mysterios here and Logan Paul and Miz, I think Logan Paul did a good job. I mean, he may be an insufferable human being as a person, but he did a good job. He really did. And he did not embarrass himself, nor did he embarrass the company. He put in effort. He busted his ass. You could tell he was huffing and puffing. And it just shows you, for an athlete like Logan Paul, who is incredibly athletic. I mean, he was the fifth in his state in actual amateur wrestling. He won his boxing matches. Can't remember his opponent a few months ago, was it months ago? Sometime last year. And he's always working out, always doing it. He's got his own fitness line actually too, and his drink and all that, Prime, I think, which actually is kind of a garbage drink, and he was huffing and puffing hard. And the only thing I would say about Logan Paul, beyond him being insufferable, does he know how to sell? Did he forget how to sell? Or did he not know that that's like a major part of professional wrestling? And what I mean by that is he took like 4 finishers and got up within like 10 seconds of each. He got hit with the double 619 and 2 frog splashes and was up within like, 8 to 10 seconds. And the end of the match too. So when he got hit with the skull crushing finale, he was up within like 15 seconds. So either he's got some superhuman ability that we don't know about, or he just simply was not informed enough about the art of selling. So, the Mysterios lose. Honestly, I don't care. The Miz turns heel. This, by the way, will not turn Logan Paul babyface. Okay, if they believe that this is going to be something that Logan Paul does on a regular basis, and they can somehow turn him babyface on this, and he does pursue a more full-time career in wrestling, I don't think he will, but if he does, ain't gonna happen. He's an inherently unlikable person. And just because he was dumb enough to trust The Miz and get hit with a skull-crushing finale does not turn him babyface. Sorry. I would actually side with The Miz on this one out of all things. And I can't stand The Miz. I would side with The Miz. That's how much I dislike Logan Paul. So, that said, it was a fine match. Dom had a few botches. Dom is as interesting to me as, the lamp sitting next to me. I mean, the lamp next to me at least provides a purpose. It provides meaning. It sheds light on things I can see in my office. Dominic Mysterio is only there because of his dad, let's be honest. He looks like he is a high school junior, and he can't talk on the mic. And he's fine in the ring, but that's it. So, anyway. Let's move on here. Let's go to another match. And Happy Corbin versus Drew McIntyre. Better than expected. Better than expected for this matchup. It was exactly what we thought the ending would be, with Happy Corbin finally getting a loss in the loss column, and also Drew McIntyre kicking out of End of Days, which myself and Grace talked about as a possible side story to this, and the announcers did bring it up. I think Michael Cole said, and I believe, guys, that's the first time that anyone's kicked out of End of Days. So Corbin was shocked. They brought it up, and it was something that was fun to watch. And I think they did as good as they could have been with this matchup. And we had Madcap Moss accidentally cost Corbin the matchup, and it's going to be, I think, another slow descent into Madcap Moss and Happy Corbin splitting. And again, no problem with this matchup. I think that it was a solid match. The slicing of the ropes, I don't know what to say about it anymore. The thing is with that sword, I know that that's not his staple now. I know there's deep meaning to it with his mother. He named it after who died. I get all that. And then he pretends to use it as a weapon, but he's never, ever, 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 ever going to use it as a weapon because he can't. So he'll do he'll have these moments where he'll pretend to swing it at somebody, even though they're like, halfway across the arena. And they tried to sell it last night like he was going to slice Madcap Moss in half. It was like 5 seconds of a delay between Madcap Moss off the apron and Drew McIntyre swinging the sword, which by the way is a real sword, and it did slice the ropes, 2 of them, which tells you they're never going to ever use that as a real weapon. It's just there for a prop. It's there for part of his gimmick. And I get all that, but anyway. One thing I want to say about Becky's hair. I don't know where I thought about that. Becky's hair is badass. I gotta say, she always knows when to kind of change things up and when things are getting stale. Becky Lynch's hair was fire, as they'd say, and it was, to me, a nice refresh of her character. I think it was a symbolic change to who she is. I think this could send her into a descent that she has not seen in a while, where she maybe goes on a losing streak and gets darker and darker and darker. I think that's possible. So, no problem here. McIntyre finally hits Corbin with a Claymore, and hopefully this program's over. God help us if this continues. It's got to be over, right? Famous last words. All right, the show opened, though, with the Usos and Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs. Not a great match, I have to say. I think it's because of the legitimate injury, and it is legitimate. It's confirmed. The injury to Boogs is legit, where he had both Usos on his shoulders and his knee buckled, and he tore his quad from his patella, meaning his quad that's attached to his kneecap snapped, gone. He needs surgery. He's going to be out for months. This is not a work. They wouldn't have done this as a work, and I actually questioned it at first. But the more I thought about it, this is not a time to do an injury angle, especially that early in the match. And you have somebody as hot as Boogs. Doesn't make sense. Now, if that injury didn't happen, would they have gone home so quick, meaning ended the match so quickly, and still had the outcome be Usos retaining? We don't know. I guess we'll never know. I don't believe that the Usos should have retained it. It didn't feel right that they retained, given how hot Boogs is, and he opened the show. I actually said that was my other possibility for who opens the show in terms of entrances. It's always got to be a babyface that opens the show, and it was this time with Boogs and him super over with Shinsuke with his whole gimmick and his entrance. And I think people were ready to embrace Boogs as a tag team champion, and they won't get that opportunity because he was taken out fairly early in the match with a quad injury. It was real. Quad snapped from the patella, and unfortunately for Boogs, he is out of action for probably a few months at least. Maybe looking towards the early summer, maybe midsummer, and that's my guess. I haven't heard anything, but based on that injury, it doesn't sound like it's going to be a quick, kind of walk it off, buddy, kind of thing. So really, really tough break for Boogs, who was positioned to get a nice victory, I believe, at WrestleMania and capitalize on that organic movement that is going on for Boogs. So really, really tough break for him. But overall, the match, it was okay. Obviously, the injury really hurt things, but it was okay otherwise. Just kind of, it could have been something on SmackDown. Like if you took the platform of AT&T Stadium out of it and you stuck this match on any old SmackDown, you would never know this was a WrestleMania match. It was okay. It was right. But okay. As far as that goes, guys, that is night one, I believe. Did I forget anything? I'm looking through my notes here. Make sure I didn't miss anything. I know somebody will call me out. I don't think I did. I think I caught everything here, guys. What an amazing night one. Night one, I would say, is like a B+. It was a B+, A- range. It was that good. Amazing night one. Night two, guys, as we look forward to night two, of course, is headlined by Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar. I will continue to stick by my guns that I have said over the last few months, that it's Reigns winning by hook or crook, by the Usos helping, Paul Heyman helping, all hands on deck to help Roman. And Roman's going to get beat up and brutalized by Brock, but it's going to ultimately be Roman who retains, hook or crook, and then it has to end with The Rock confronting Roman. It has to. There's no other option here. You can't call this the biggest WrestleMania match of all time and then not deliver on that and send the crowd home pissed off. That to me is not delivering on it. If you're telling me this is the biggest WrestleMania match of all time, then and it ends with just Roman standing with 2 belts over Brock's beaten body, and the you see the little logo in the bottom right of your screen, and then they just go off the air. How is that any different than Day One or SummerSlam or Madison Square Garden's non-televised event? How exactly is this the biggest WrestleMania match of all time again if it's the same finish as the last 3 times? Yeah, so there has to be something, or I will be very disappointed in this. Now, Roman should win. Don't get me wrong. Roman should win. And I want to see Roman get his ass kicked bad, but I also understand that Roman winning is a better path moving forward for his legacy and for saving that victory for somebody else. Hopefully an up-and-coming star. And, of course, leading for The Rock and Roman, hopefully at WrestleMania 39. I mean, think about WrestleMania 39, guys. Just think about this for a minute. There's already some matches floating out there as rumors for a year from now in LA, April 1st and 2nd, 2023. We have Roman and Rock. We have Brock and Austin already rumored. Now, I'm also perpetuating those rumors and propagating them because I want them to happen. But those are some stretch, but some rumors out there that aren't really that far from reality, to be honest. So think about that next year. Oh my gosh, I'm already getting excited. But nonetheless, that is a night 1 or night 2, a little bit of a preview there. We have Sami Zayn and Johnny Knoxville. Who the hell cares? Omos and Bobby Lashley. Actually really interested in that match more than I feel like I should be to see how they position both guys. And that the women's tag team title match. Of course, there's never a champion. There's never a match for the women without the belts involved, which is kind of a sad thing. We have Edge and AJ Styles, which also could be a match of the pay-per-view contender. It may not beat out Becky and Bianca, but in the men's category, it has the chance to be as good as Cody and Seth, if not better. It has the chance. There's so much talent this year, guys. I mean, my God, the amount of talent in matches right now is just incredible. So that I'm really looking forward to as well. So again, guys, night 2 is going to be a lot of fun. Join us on Patreon. Go ad-free. Get all the ads out of your way, because as the ads continue to pile up, your listening experience is not as fun, right? Because every 10 minutes, you're like, oh, another ad. Get rid of them. 99 cents right now on Apple Podcasts. Hit subscribe or go on our Patreon page for patreon.com/WWE podcast. $1 gets you in the door. If you go up 1 tier to a $5 tier, you get videos as well. I'll be pumping out another one of those very soon. And TikTok, follow us on TikTok at the WWE Podcast, or check out our website, WWEpodcast.com. Use promo code WrestleMania and get 50% off your first month. What are you doing, guys? Ad-free, everything there, as well as videos. So much to talk about tonight, guys. Join us on the Discord server. You guys were a lot of fun. I love kind of taking a back seat and being on the bench and observing your guys' conversations. Some of them are hilarious, and all the GIFs and everything that come in, it's good stuff. So thank you, everybody, for listening. Get ready for night 2. Oh, hell yeah. Take care, and I'll be talking to everybody very, very soon.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.